Today I'm going to break down all of the negatives, or shall we say cons, of living or moving to Portland, Oregon. We are going to discuss everything that you might run into and that you have to be ready to deal with when moving to the Portland metro area. So let's get started. Hey guys, I am back with another video, and for you that have just tuned in for the first time, my name is Trisha Dirks. I am a local realtor in the Portland metro area, and if you want to know everything that there is about eating, sleeping, drinking, the fun, the good, the bad, the ugly about Portland, Oregon, I am your girl. So don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button and the notification bell so you are notified each and every time I upload a video. I get emails and text messages all the time from people that are looking to move to the Portland metro or Oregon area, which I absolutely love. Reach out to me day or night. I'm here to answer any questions, whether you are moving in the next 6 weeks or 90 days or even up to a year. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Feel free to email, text, give me a call, pigeon carrier, whatever it's going to take to get that message over to me, but I will get back to you and let you know the answers to all of your questions. So last year I did a video on pros and cons of living in the area, and I got a ton of questions and a lot of requests that there just weren't enough negative things or cons in that video. So these won't be in any particular order, but if you hang tight to the end, I will tell you the worst of all worst things that you're going to have to deal with when moving to this city. So let's get started. Number one con is it could be hard to make new friendships. That could be a con in any city, but it is also a con here. I mean, Portlanders are very friendly. When you go to the grocery store and the clerk says, "How was your day?" they really mean it, but it just doesn't translate into an actual friendship. I mean, Portland has certain cliques and certain friends that kind of stay together, so it can be hard to get incorporated with those groups of people because they've been here for a long time. Especially, for instance, me, I was born and raised here, so a lot of my friend groups are people that were born and raised here. It's not that often that we connect with people that are outside of that friend group. You will find that all around Portland, to where you'll have your southeast people and they're all hanging together, or your northeast people and they're all hanging together. But the one thing that you can do to kind of branch out is to join different groups. There are tons of groups on Facebook. For instance, Black Girls Run. You can join that group, and that's a way to get connected. There are Black People Move to Portland. There are soccer groups. There are a ton of groups that you can put yourself in the middle of so that you can branch out and make those friendships. I know for me, for one, it is Portland Wine Drinkers. Grab those groups, jump into them, and make as many friends as you possibly can. It is ultimately a wonderful city and the people are friendly. It's just sometimes tough connecting and finding that friend group. Con number 2, traffic. Okay, whether you're coming from a small city or a large city, Portland traffic has drastically changed. I can remember to just 10 years ago, you could get to anywhere in the city in like 10 to 15 minutes, just anywhere. Now that the city has started to grow, it is taking more like 30, 45 minutes to get anywhere that you need to go. And that's also going to depend on where you end up in the city, of course. Be prepared. Be prepared to sit in traffic. Any major highway that you go to, doesn't matter the time of day. There are times where I'm out there at 1 p.m. and I think that I'm just gonna shoot across the city, and that is not it. I mean, and it's nothing compared to what you would get in, say, some of the larger cities. Like, don't think New York crazy. It's not like that. Don't think California. California is pretty spread out. Or Seattle. It's nothing compared to those. But if you were born and raised here like I was, it is completely different than it was 10 to 15 years ago. So be prepared for that. Con number 3, it is there's a gas attendant that pumps your gas. And for some, that might be a positive thing because you don't have to get out of your car unless you pull into a gas station that you actually have to walk in and pay. But think of it this way. You pull in last minute, they don't have enough gas attendants, then you have to sit in your car and actually wait for them to come over and pump the gas. You cannot legally get out of your car and try to pump it on your own. They will not allow you to do that. That could be a negative if you pull up to the gas station at the last minute, they're getting ready to close, there's not enough gas attendants and you really need gas, or else you won't be able to make it somewhere. It could put a damper on that situation. Remember, here in Oregon, unless you go way out in the outskirts of Oregon, in rural areas, you will have an attendant come into your car to pump your gas. Believe me, I've tried to pump it on my own when I was in a rush. That's a no-go. Be prepared for someone to help you out at the gas station. Con number 4, and I know a lot about this and I get a lot of questions about this, the housing market. Whether it's rental, whether it's purchasing a house, it is not easy right now. It is changing because the market is starting to soften a little bit. I mean, take in mind even the rental market. You'll have an opening and you'll rush over there to get it, and there'll be a waiting list of people that are looking to get into that same spot. If you look at the housing market for purchasing a home, the housing prices have gone through the roof comparatively speaking to, say, 10 years ago. Portland just became a hot spot, and one of the hot spots in America with the growth of the housing market. The people that were coming from, say, the East Coast or even on the West Coast, and where housing prices were way above what you could get here, they would move here and they would just get more house for their money because it's just a great place to live. But it made it a lot harder for those people that were coming looking for affordable housing. That's something that you do want to take in consideration when you are moving to this area. Inventory is historically low, not only here, I mean all over the United States we're dealing with this issue. So we're having more and more people taking a little bit longer to find a home that they actually love and they want to move into, and then let alone having to pay these prices that are just not traditional when you're looking in this area. Do a lot of research, send me questions and ask about the housing market, what's going on, and just kind of get a general idea of the types of houses that you can get in price points. I'd love to give you that information and kind of break it down. Hey, this is what you can get in this price point, or even with the rental market and saying, hey, if you're paying X rent in, say, California right now, for a comparable property, it will be this price, and I can send you some listings in areas that would be comparable to what you are paying currently in any city that you live in. Okay, con number 5, or negative number 5, would be the cost of living. I did do a video that shows the cost of living, and it's kind of itemized and will kind of give you a general idea of what the cost of living here in Portland is. I will either post it here or link it down in the comments. Go and watch that video and kind of get more of a detailed, in-depth look. The cost of living is high. We have great food venues, great restaurants, but you're gonna pay top dollar for that meal. You can go to a food cart and pay $20 for a plate of food. I mean, the food is going to be amazing, but it's $20. I mean, imagine paying $20 every time you went to lunch. That's going to add up to quite a bit. Groceries, and it just falls along the lines of what we were talking about on housing costs. Yes, you're going to be paying more in housing, and with that growth that we saw from people moving to the area, the cost of living has also gone through the roof. Be prepared to pay top dollar for items that you are purchasing or your experiences that you have here in Oregon. But the one thing that you do want to remember when it comes to the cost of living, you get what you pay for. So with that said is, there's a lot of these cities that you go to that you have to pay sales tax. You do not have to pay sales tax here. So the price of the item that you see is what you pay, but that price may be a little bit more. So be prepared for that. Con or negative number 6. But the one thing that you want to take into mind is our summer months. Although they are great and it's warm and it's beautiful and you want to get outside, the one thing that we've been experiencing a lot over the last couple of years are smoky summers. And when I say smoky, it's like you don't even want to go outside smoky, and it has a lot to do with the forest fires that we've experienced. Some of the large ones have been the one in the gorge last year.
We have new developments tonight from the Columbia Gorge.
From the air, you start to get an idea how far the fire's damage stretches. Ridgetops and valleys are scorched by the wild flames that blew through here.
That basically had us indoors for probably about 4 weeks, to where you just could not be outside. It was hazy, hot. There was an orange gaze that you saw over the city for about 4 solid weeks. So that's something that you want to take in consideration, because it has happened for the last, I would say 3 or 4 years. It's happened to us to where we have to go through the summer at least 4 weeks, and sometimes 5 weeks of our summer that is 90 degrees outside, where you want to be outside enjoying the summer weather that we don't have that much of. But you can't, because the smoke conditions and the weather are just not feasible for people to actually be out and enjoy the weather at that time. Be prepared to hunker down in the summer months where you want to be outside and you just can't go out there. The next con would be lack of diversity. Oregon is an extremely white state. Portland has often been known as the whitest city in the United States. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, you walk around and you definitely can see it. I've had people that have come from Texas, California, New York. They see it immediately. It's just not as diverse as one would want. You get here and it's like a culture shock. 75% of Oregonians identify as white. Just think of that, 75%. So you have to be prepared for that. There's diversity. There are some people here, but it's just minimal. I mean, you're not going to see it. I mean, you're going to stand out. I love it. It's still beautiful here. There's no issues. It's just a matter of, if that's what you're looking for, diversity, it's probably not here. More than 75% of the Oregonians identify as white. While you won't see the kind of diversity you might see in Seattle or San Diego, San Francisco, things are slowly changing over the last 10 to 20 years. We're seeing more and more people move to the area, which is kind of rounding out our diversity. But it's a cultural shock for a lot of people when they first come here, and it's probably one of the top 3 questions that I get. All right, guys, we made it. We made it to number 8. And number 8, in my opinion, is the worst of the worst. Okay, maybe not the worst of the worst. It is the worst of the worst. Number 8 is the homeless issue. I know that you've heard about it. You've heard about it on TV, on the local news. I mean, CNN. I mean, it's been everywhere that they talked about the RIM homeless issue that Portland has, and it's true. I mean, from the time that you get in from the airport, you experience it immediately. I mean, you just cannot get away from it. There are pockets that you don't see it as much, and you do kind of get used to it. And if you are from big cities like New York, Los Angeles, I mean, you've experienced homelessness. But here, it's not just in a downtown corridor, it is spread out everywhere. It used to be a time where I would say probably about 10 years ago, to where you did not experience the homeless issue as wide ranged as it is now. I mean, like I said, you can get off the airplane and come right out of the airport and deal with it. Where back then, it would be all in the downtown corridor, and it has spread like wildfire. Portland just has not got a handle on it, and we need to get a handle on it. And I think that it's gone so far that it's almost at the point of no return. Like, how do you fix this issue? And they've done a lot of things and given them a lot of resources to where Portland is dirty. It used to be a very beautiful city to where you came and it was green and lush and it didn't smell bad. It wasn't like a big city, but it is. It smells bad. It looks bad. It's bad. It's really bad. So as long as you're used to living in a big city, all that to say, I mean, you get used to it and it won't be that bad. I can walk out of my house right now and not deal with a homeless issue. I can. And there are certain neighborhoods around the city that you can definitely walk out of your neighborhood and not deal with that issue. But as you drive closer into the hub, the city hub, you start seeing it pop up, little camps all over the place. And so I feel like I'm in a little bubble. And then once I get out of my bubble, I see it again. Be prepared for that. that is pretty much all of the cons that I can think of. I'm pretty sure I can come up with some more if you want some more. But if you can handle those things, you can handle anything. It's still beautiful here. You still can get to the mountain or the coast within 45 minutes. You can get to California. I would say California border is about 4 hours away. You could get to Seattle, Washington within 3 hours, which is a short weekend trip. So there's still tons of things to do. Go look at my video on the pros and cons, because there were a lot more pros about living in Portland versus the cons. But since this video is all around cons and the negative, I wanted you to know what you will get yourself into in moving to Portland. And as usual, if you have any questions at all, I am here for you. Just give me a quick text or a phone call and I can get those questions answered for you. Until next time, Dirks out.